Welcome back to Hope, Faith, and Joy Daily Devotion with me, Pastor Amanda. Today we are beginning chapter 10 of Daniel, and chapters 10 through 12 are actually part of one vision, but that's way too much for one devotion. So we are going to attempt to discover what each chapter has to offer for us. So let's begin by hearing chapter 10. In the 3rd year of King Cyrus of Persia, a word was revealed to Daniel, who was named Belteshazzar. The word was true, and it concerned a great conflict. He understood the word, having received understanding in the vision. At that time, I, Daniel, had been mourning for 3 weeks. I had eaten no rich food, no meat or wine had entered my mouth, and I had not anointed myself at all for the full 3 weeks. On the 24th day of the 1st month, I was standing on the bank of the great river, that is, the Tigris. I looked up and saw a man clothed in linen, with a belt of gold from Uthaz around his waist. His body was like beryl, his face like lightning, his eyes like flaming torches, his arms and legs like the gleam of burnished bronze, and the sound of his words like the roar of a multitude. I, Daniel, alone saw the vision. The people who were with me did not see the vision, though a great trembling fell upon me, and they fled and hid themselves. So I was left alone to see this great vision. My strength left me, and my complexion grew deathly pale, and I retained no strength. Then I heard the sound of his words, and when I heard the sound of his words, I fell into a trance, face to the ground. But then a hand touched me and roused me to my hands and knees. He said to me, Daniel, greatly beloved, pay attention to the words that I am going to speak to you. Stand on your feet, for I have now been sent to you. So while he was speaking this word to me, I stood up trembling. He said to me, Do not fear, Daniel, for from the first day that you set your mind to gain understanding and to humble yourself before your God, your words have been heard, and I have come because of your words. But the prince of the kingdom of Persia opposed me 21 days. So Michael, one of the chief princes, came to help me, and I left him there with the prince of the kingdom of Persia, and have come to help you understand what is to happen to your people at the end of days, for there is a further vision for those days. While he was speaking these words to me, I turned my face toward the ground and was speechless. Then one in human form touched my lips, and I opened my mouth to speak, and said to the one who stood before me, My Lord, because of the vision, such pains have come upon me that I retain no strength. How can my Lord's servant talk with my Lord? For I am shaking. No strength remains in me, and no breath is left in me. Again, one in human form touched me and strengthened me. He said, Do not fear, greatly beloved. You are safe. Be strong and courageous. When he spoke to me, I was strengthened and said, Let my Lord speak, for you have strengthened me. Then he said, Do you know why I have come to you? Now I must return to fight against the prince of Persia, and when I am through with him, the prince of Greece will come. But I am to tell you what is inscribed in the book of truth. There is no one with me who contends against these princes except Michael, your prince. In this chapter, we find Daniel is mourning, and it is in this state that he receives a word and vision. And before the message is given, there is the pre-message to Daniel. Do not fear. Daniel describes how he is physically overcome being in the presence of this angel. And yet, the angel is the one who gives him the strength to continue and hear the message. Knowing that this chapter is merely the introduction to the vision, it points to the importance of our spiritual preparation to hear from God. In my personal spiritual experience, I know that when I prepare myself to listen to God, the chances of receiving a message are much higher. And, like Daniel, it is not as simple as simply saying, Speak, Lord, your servant is listening. It takes time, and it takes time set apart. And it often requires some quiet time and no multitasking. In learning to meditate, it shocked me to discover it takes about 10 minutes for our brains to calm down to actually focus on meditation. And this is how it also works for prayer, which means we need to be intentional about how we slow ourselves down and focus on receiving God's messages. We have to take the time, set ourselves apart, and truly just sit and listen. As Lent approaches, how can you slow down to listen to God? Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you in the next Hope, Faith, and Joy Daily Devotion.